Hello, everybody. Welcome. Here with Colleen
Hello.
and here with Danny.
Hi, everybody.
And we are, of course, here on our monthly Q&A. It's a live Q&A that we do. So we usually have somewhere from 30 to 40 people that join us here live, and we talk about Reiki subjects. You're welcome always to join us live. You do have to sign up for that list on our website. And in order to receive the Zoom link, we don't post that publicly to be able to do this, just because it is a kind of like security risk thing. So we'd love for you to join us at any point. You can keep your videos off. You can ask questions anonymously. There's always those options to be live here with us. So starting off, just a couple of announcements. The first thing, we sent out an email and we posted this on social. But one of the things that I wanted to announce on here is that because I don't think we have done it on our podcast. For those of you that aren't a part of our Reiki lifestyle newsletter, you can sign up for that and you receive a free ebook booklet, which is about using the 5 Reiki ideals for everyday wellness. And in that booklet, we have each of the precepts, how to pronounce them in Japanese, kind of broken down. And then through that, it's just more about how to use that in your daily waking life. Also comes with some journaling prompts, how to use, Reiki to empower it within you, some mindfulness practices. And so if you sign up for our newsletter, you receive that. When we sent it out to our existing newsletter group, we just transferred systems. And so there were people that didn't have it because they were in our old system, and we just changed systems, and we just got a lot of really good feedback around it. I know I've been using it. And so I just wanted to say that you can find the box on to sign up for our newsletter all the way in the footer of our website. So reikilifestyle.com, you can find it in the footer. So we'd love for you to sign up for that. And then as far as our newsletter is concerned, we don't send out a ton of emails. At the most, it's like weekly. So just know we're not spamming your inbox every single day or anything like that. We're sending out a kind of normal amount of emails versus what we can all get in our inboxes these days. So I just wanted to say that. Also, we have classes upcoming in March. We are teaching Animal Reiki 1 and 2, Animal Reiki Master in March. Colleen is teaching Human Reiki classes in April 1 and 2, Master Karuna. And then she's actually also teaching in person at the Omega Institute, teaching Animal Reiki 1 and 2 in May. And that is in Rhinebeck, New York. So if you're interested in learning in person from Colleen and you're on the East Coast or want to fly into the Omega Institute, you have to go to the Omega's website to sign up, but we do have a landing page on our website at reikilifestyle.com to be able to easily get to that page. So it's under our classes tab. And so that's a fun thing that's happening as well, because it's been a while since we've taught in-person Animal Reiki. So we're excited about that. All right, I think that's pretty good for announcements. As always, our calendar is up on our website. If you're interested in classes, go there and find them. So I think what we'll go ahead and do is we will go into the invocation now, and Colleen is going to do that for us.
So as always, and I can feel, as I said earlier, I'm a little blurry. It's also because I have been truly like almost overwhelmed with the amount of spiritual downloads I've been getting and how applicable they are in my daily life. So how that applies to this invocation is sometimes they can go pretty deep. And if you are listening at a time that going deep is not a good idea for you, such as driving or cutting vegetables or things like that, anything that you have to be paying attention to your safety, then maybe fast forward, listen to the Q&A and come back to the invocation at a good time for you. Sometimes you can also just let it wash over you. And so you have to pay attention to your own, where you're at. And there are times I can listen to things, let it wash over me, and I get the benefit from it. And also, but kind of in a different way. It's like Reiki on the fly, where, when I'm using Reiki on the fly and it's in a flash of a moment, I see the benefits in a little bit different way than when I go deep and go into a deep, meditation or Reiki journey. And so, anyway, if this works for you that way, feel free to stay and listen, but do pay attention. I can feel like it's going deep. All right. Oh, yeah. Okay, so we keep the recording going, right, Robin? Okay, so go ahead and get comfortable. I'm going to turn off my video. If you're able, close your eyes. Place your hands comfortably on your body. Take some deep breaths and begin letting go of the busyness of your mind, everything else that you have to think about, have been thinking about, need to think about later. As you breathe in the light of Reiki, and as you exhale, let go of all that excess. There's extra right now. And as you exhale and as you let go, what you let go of travels into the light of Reiki. And the light illuminates it and heals it through illumination. It elevates it to that light of love that is Reiki. Breathe deeply now. Open your heart and receive. The light of Reiki from the highest heavens is traveling down, and it fills the space all around you, extending out even beyond the walls of the room you're in or the car you're driving. Reiki is like a beautiful field of light all around you. The energies of the power symbol and the mental emotional symbol, distance symbol, all the master symbols. The energy of tree of life and karuna is in a beautiful field of light all around you. And with every breath you take, the light from the heavens and the light around you fills your breath, flows into your body, and reveals the light within you, activates it. And as you breathe in the light and the power of love by every name it's called. And the power of love fills your breath, and you remember now, this is what you're made of. Love is who you are at the core of your being. Love is who you are in your everyday life, through all the ways and worries of your life, of life in general. Love is who you are. Breathe deeply now and remember, as the power of love fills your breath and begins to clear the things that hide this from you. those ways and worries of the world. And as you exhale, they travel into the light, where they are illuminated and training to the higher frequencies, healed completely, taken into the light, released from you. And as you breathe in the light and the power of the divine mind, and the divine mind from pure consciousness, from the place of pure consciousness where all there is love. And it fills your breath, and your whole body aligns with it as the divine mind travels through your soul star chakra above you, through your crown, through your third eye, and your throat and your heart, your belly, your root chakra, your earth star below your feet. And the divine mind travels in on your breath and flows through your body and aligns you with your divine mind. And the wisdom of the heavens and the light of the earth rises through you, flowing through your body, through the earth star below you, your earth star, your root chakra, through your sacral chakra, and through your third and your fourth and fifth and sixth, your crown and your soul star. And you're completely aligned with the rhythm of the earth and the rhythm of the heavens. The energy of wisdom is flowing through this alignment. The wisdom of the earth, the wisdom of creation, the wisdom of the divine. The wisdom within you. Your wisdom wakes up in your gut brain, your heart brain, your head brain, your divine brain, your earth brain, aligning you and waking up your authentic intuition. Your intuition. Waking up your imagination, your instincts, all part of your authentic intellect, your human spirit, your human intelligence, all awake right here as you remember your body is made of the earth and gives your spirit life and breath, this life, your life, right now. And your divine spirit is here. There is no separation between your human spirit and your divine spirit. And as you breathe in, the light travels in on your breath and it travels into those places where you believe or feel that your divine spirit and your human spirit are separate. And the light of Reiki travels in on your breath and begins to release any beliefs creating that separation. For any reason they're there from any time in your soul's history. Your consciousness unifies. Your divine consciousness and human consciousness are meant to be together. Your soul is here on your journey, and you remember now for this life. Your inner truth wakes up and your inner knowing wakes up. Your authentic authority, your inner authority, present and available to you. And the alignment of the heavens and of the earth and of you as you move into the rhythm and the cycles of the earth and where you are in this moment. Aligning with the moon, aligning with the sun, and each of the planets in this solar system, the rhythm, the sacred geometry of it, the wisdom and the knowledge of this galaxy. And as you breathe in the light and the power of the divine heart. And your divine heart is revealed. And it shines through your heart light in front of you and behind you. And your heart light shines above you, below you, on each side. And it merges with the light of Reiki all around you, and you can see the light is beautiful. And the edges of your light and the edges of the Reiki light are merged because your life force and its life force. And your spirit ignites so you can see yourself and believe this is who you truly are, an extraordinary being of the light, living your life at this time. Sometimes, though, it can all seem as if it's hidden from your own view, the ways and the worries of the world, the realities, pressures of life, the challenges. So you breathe in the light of compassion and the light of compassion fills your breath and begins to release those ways and worries of the world that hide you from you, hide your brilliance, your light from you. Create the belief in separation of you from your own divine self. And like the tree of life, your roots grow deeply into the earth, and your branches reach to the heavens. And your roots grow in a great circle all around you, and the ground underneath you is stable and strong. And you receive of the earth. And you share with the earth. And the wisdom of the earth flows through you, and the knowledge of the earth flows through you. And your branches reach to the heavens in perfect balance. And the wisdom of creation, of source, the wisdom of God, the wisdom of truth, wisdom of pure consciousness, Lady Wisdom. The earth and the heavens are created with wisdom, and it flows through you now. And like the tree of life, your branches receive the gentle winds of the four winds, carrying the wisdom of the ancients of the earth, flowing through you. People and the animals and the trees, the stones and the waters, the plants. And as that breeze, the four winds, flows through your branches, it reaches out beyond you. And as it goes around the earth, it also travels to the descendants. And the wisdom of the descendants is carried on the four winds. And we wake up to their knowledge that they share with us, the ancestors of the descendants. In a beautiful circle of life, with life. Your soul is here in your journey at this time in your eternity. And so the light of Reiki fills your breath and flows through your body and wakes it all up within you that you remember the love that you are. You remember your higher consciousness and higher knowing. And here in your human life, your human nature, your life today, your instincts are awake. Your intuition is awake. Your innovations and ideas are awake. Your intentions. And your beautiful heart is shining. And your perceptions expand all around you to the beautiful beings of the light that are here with you, with all of us, and with the earth itself. The beings of this realm, this spiritual realm we call the first heaven, the earth, and the beautiful beings of the light that live here with us and come here with us. The enlightened ones of your heart are here with you. Your beloved and sacred ones are here with you. They say thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to you, and thank you for hearing them, expanding your perceptions, expanding your realities, expanding your inner knowing. The angels and the archangels are here, divine animal kingdom, and the spirit of the earth. It's all here. The ascended masters and our brothers and sisters in the light are here. Thank you. Say thank you to yourself. We say thank you to each other, to our amazing community, people sharing together, contributing to the wellness in the world. Here from all over the world, all of us here live and those who listen later are so very blessed to be in community with each other. Thank you. And thank you to the enlightened ones who join us as well. And we welcome you even when we forget to ask or even when we don't know you're there. And we say thank you to the teachers who came before us, the descendants who come after. We are here in the long lineage of light bringers. We are here in the long lineage of light bringers, illuminating, healing, empowering, and great gratitude. Thank you. And so it is. I didn't know if you were starting or I am, Robin.
Either way, I don't know if you have anything to say. Usually you do,
Okay.
but I can start because we have questions. So,
Well, I guess what I would do is start with the invocation because as anybody who's been listening for a long time, they're really channeled and I mean, you heard me ask Robin, are you doing the invocation or me? And as I said, I've been having like almost an overwhelming amount of downloads occurring. And by downloads, what I mean by that is insights about spiritual information that has been like bits and pieces of it have been coming in for years. And a lot of it is, I'm having a lot of aha moments. And then I'm also having a lot of information coming in that I feel is new, but there's all the information has been here before, so I don't claim to be the one, that it's all coming through, but it's new for me. So there's a lot of new information, new insights coming in. I feel very the two there's three big ones coming in, and maybe we'll talk more about these in a podcast next week, Robin, with you and I. But the three areas that are coming in is the awareness of the descendants really working with us right now. And Robin had a big epiphany. We've been working with that for years, but Robin had a big epiphany last week. I think it was even in the distance Reiki share. And she brought it in, and then that wave of it came in like, oh, that's what this has been. Like the energy of the descendants sending back to us. And if you think about it, we now often think about sending energy back to the ancestors and healing energy, empowerment energy, gratitude energy to the ancestors. So the awareness of the descendants doing that with us because we are their ancestors, that they are sending it back. And then it's also shown up in, particularly in my sessions, where some of the specific descendants are sending back specifically to this moment, like it's happening right now. Then the other part has been the awareness, and Taylor, I think you wrote this into the chat last week too, of how this information right now is coming in, spiritual innovation. There's just this incredible download of information coming to the planet, and that it's coming through the filter of the moon. And so it's very specifically showing up in this invocation and with the word alignment. And that's another one. It's been coming through, coming through, coming through. But it just kind of, even today, was a deeper awareness of like, oh, alignment, like really that alignment. And so now that that word has come through in the way that it did, it um it's like a whole new inner awareness of it. And I'll tell you where it started was my nephew. He's in his late 20s, and he has a very, serious relationship. And I wanted to give them both something. And so I created a peace grid for them, a really cute little peace grid with stones around it, and picked out specific ones. And then Saki, who is here often, has created these cards. You probably, well, you can't see it, but the mandala cards. And the one I gave him was the word alignment. And I noticed it at the time. I was like, huh, that was the one that was the right one for him. And I was really listening around it, like really paying attention. And so when I gave it to him, I didn't really have an understanding of it, of why that was the right card for him. And when I gave it to him and I said, the word alignment has come through for you. And then I'm seeing it pretty repeatedly in his age group. He's in his later 20s. It's like, oh, it's a word that's coming through for them. And so today it came through really powerfully, and it's that alignment, because we are subject to our bodies on the earth, made of the earth, and we want to be. We're here to be here. And so getting aligned with that rhythm, and that's been since the beginning of my spiritual journey, is the awareness of the rhythm and the heartbeat of the earth, and how aligning, and then the rhythm and the heartbeat of creation and aligning with that. So that all came through, and then all of it has come through Lady Wisdom. And I haven't had a lot of chance to really get to know her, but the same thing, she came in really big last week as a guide that I need to meet and know better and pay attention to. And the same thing, where everything was coming through. Like, I can even look at all of our writings and different things, and the word wisdom is in everything, but it came in differently, because this time it came in as it's an actual, like, life force energy of creation. The heavens and the earth are actually made with the energy of wisdom. So Reiki specifically can help us access what that actually means, because it's way deeper than, just our intellectual wisdom, which of course that's how it ends up translating into being valuable for our daily life. But it's much deeper than that. And then the third one, and Danny and I really had a really good conversation this morning about questions. And Robin brought in something, the same thing last week, this whole teaching that came through for her about asking questions. And the same thing, it's like all these little pieces over the years, you can see us bringing in the importance of learning how to ask questions for years. But it's like this week, it's all coming together, of going, oh, that's what it all means. And so Robin wrote this beautiful thing about questions. And then Danny and I were talking about it. And many of you know that I'm pretty I'm pretty intrigued by AI and the large language models and how to get good at it. And so one of the things that I can see that is also in alignment with the things we've been saying is how, when you really get to where you're using AI, it's about asking good questions. Like, how do you ask good questions? And what it's going to do is shift from the paradigm, like in my childhood, and I'm sure many of you in the same thing. Generationally, it was normal to be, children should be seen and not heard, do as I say, not as I do, because I said so, and things like that. Those were, the common parental ways of, of, when you ask too many questions. So I think that we're moving into that age where asking questions is going to shift how we have learned. We've been learning through memorization. We've been learning through, all these other, and those of you in education can explain this better than I can. But now we're going to be shifting into asking more questions, which is, of course, what leads to greater answers. And what the spirits have been saying about it. So anyway, yes, that's Danny and I were talking about all that this morning, and so that's where my brain is right now, and it's coming in so fast that I'm having a hard time even tracking myself. So,
No, I think we should get into questions.
okay.
So, Danny, do we want to start with the email question? Do you want to go ahead and read that?
Yeah. Let me find it. Yes. I was waiting to see if she was going to come on. So anyway, this person just recently took a class from Colleen. She says, "Hi, Colleen. Thank you so much. I've been practicing Reiki every day myself and listening to the class recordings. One sentence has hit me like a 10-ton truck of bricks, and I was hoping you would be able to share some more wisdom and clarity for me. You said that it's not our responsibility to heal ourselves, that we allow Reiki to take that energy and return it to the original cause and heal, which is source. I know this sounds very correct and self-explanatory to you, but in my world, I feel it's been a huge block to my recovery. And I'm feeling I have to heal myself mentally and emotionally. Thank you for shining more light on this."
So I wanted to answer that here because again, it felt like there's like a multi-layered answer to that question. Because for me, what I feel like I say is that what we release is not our responsibility to heal. So, in how it tracks in my thinking is as we breathe in that light of Reiki, it travels in on our breath, it releases and dissolves the cords and connectors and attachments, limitations, all the different things that we release that we're going to let go of. And so my intuition is very metaphorical. And so it's the way I see it is like those cords and connectors dissolve, and the light of Reiki carries what we let go of into the light where it's actually illuminated and healed. That came in today in the invocation in a different way too. Like the way that it's doing the healing work is it illuminates those cords, it illuminates those worries, it illuminates the injuries and heals them. And the way I see it as a practitioner when I'm working on others is, and so I'm just going to give you a visual because that's how it's shown to me, is that the cords disconnect, they dissolve from the person. The energy of what is let go of, the cords and connectors, I actually see it lifting away from them into the light. And then the light has the energy of love, the power of love, and the authority of compassion to heal what is released. So what is released is not cast out. It is not, there's no like picking it, cutting it, throwing it. It's actually a very compassionate action to heal what we let go of. And it's not our responsibility to heal all the things we're letting go of. And so, what that feels like in my perspective, because I think we're just talking some semantics from her question to how I see it. But I also want to speak to her question because it made me think deeper. Is that so much of what we let go of does not belong to us. Even if we're letting go of our own stuff, often and most of the time, there is a history behind what needs to be released. And it's not our responsibility to heal that history. It's not our responsibility to heal. Let's say if a person has had trauma from another person or from an event or from a circumstance in this lifetime or other lifetimes, it is not our job to heal those people or the perpetrators of the injury or the cause of the injury. Reiki does that. And it does it for us, and it's operating on the energy of grace. So it took me a long time to understand what I believed about grace. So grace to me is how the Reiki energy is delivered and how it releases from us gently and dissolves what is being released, the cords and connectors, rather than tearing them from us or cutting them. And that grace means we don't have to earn it or deserve it. We just simply are inviting it and saying yes to it. Because so often in these kinds of healing things, and just like, the woman who asked this question, it's like, it's overwhelming to think about all the different things that we would have to look at and heal in order to be in our wholeness. So then what Reiki energy does, because that authority of love, that authority of compassion, means that you personally, your soul, yourself, your personhood has the divine right to live in your wholeness, and that these injuries have no right to have power over you. So that is my belief, that your sovereignty is the very first authority of compassion. And so anything that is attached to you or hides that from you, anything that has power over you, does not have the right to have power over you, even if it's self-inflicted, because usually there's something even behind that. So it releases, heals that, and you don't have to watch the healing happen unless you need to. It's not that you shouldn't, but a lot of times by the time people are working with Reiki, you really even know so much about what it is. You know where it came from, you know about it. Sometimes there's a lot of hidden stuff, but mostly you need the energy healed. You need the energy released from you. But then what happens next, because of this energy of grace, because of the power of love, the authority of compassion, is that your wholeness gets revealed to you. So that's what Reiki energy does, is it releases what we need to let go of, and it heals what we let go of. And then it fills you back up, and it heals those places where the cords were. It heals the reasons they were there, the residuals that can be there. On a personal level, to really address the specific question of responsibility to heal ourselves, it really was interesting, because I thought, well, my first thought was I wanted to make sure that I cleared up a misunderstanding about that, Reiki will just heal you without any kind of partaking on your part. But the deeper I listen to it, I also feel like there's validity to that too, that, we don't have to suffer. And can it just heal us without us having to earn it, deserve it? And that belief system is so ingrained, it's hard to even move beyond the idea that it could just heal it for us with, no responsibility on our part. So I think it's more the word responsibility than anything, because, what is the responsibility of it? To say that somebody, doesn't need to do any self-work with things is also like, I don't know if I agree with that either. So Robin, I see you unmuted, so I it sounds like maybe you have something to add to it.
Yeah, I I do have a little bit to add to it. The first thing is that um and again, I don't quite recall the context of it, but one thing that is true about Reiki is the idea that you don't have to direct it. And you were kind of talking about this, Colleen, in a way that you don't have to know, like we set intentions for sessions, right? That's a part of this process. However, if you're giving a session to somebody else, just as an example, like let's say you're giving a session to somebody in a medical setting that is you're volunteering Reiki, that you're not directing the Reiki, you're just allowing it to flow through you in order for it to go where it's needed. And that Reiki is an enlightened and intelligent energy, and it knows where to go and what to do. And so for many Reiki sessions that we have either for ourselves or from others, of course we're going to set intentions, that's just a part of our process. A lot of times it is spiritually guided, and so that can be such a common practice. You don't necessarily have to, but I know that's a common practice for most of us, is to set intention in a session. Maybe other times we're just placing our hands on ourselves, and we don't necessarily have an intention. We just know that we need some Reiki. And so we just go into that kind of Reiki on the fly moment where we're just calling it in, and it's there supporting us. But I just wanted to there's two things with this question that I'd like to add maybe just a little bit of a additional perspective to. So that's the first one, is that where that responsibility comes in is just that idea that it flows through us rather than from us, and that directive aspect, we don't need to be so directive with it. So that's maybe a possibility within the context of this question, and maybe some aspects to what was said in the moment. So Colleen, before I move on, I don't know if you have any additional things that you'd like to add with that, or just, I can go into the kind of next aspect.
Well, again, I think what always to me, it's like, oh, a question like that, you know, adds curiosity and inquiry. Like, oh, well, what about that possibility? And so I also want to say directly to this person that, it does sound like you've done the work. Like, the way you describe it is you've been at this a long time. And I absolutely have seen healing occur with Reiki, where it truly is like, I just need the energy to lift and be gone and to be healed and not have to do all the work all the time for it. And so I want to open the possibility and the probability, let's put it into probability of how true that is. And then now it's coming in and the invocation, how the invocation went to healing the separation.
Yeah.
The divine self and human self are one self. Yeah. So thank you for the question. I think.
Well, I have more to
Oh, go ahead.
add. Yeah, because I had another aspect to this. And a part of that is in the physical healing. And
Yes.
when we have very real physical cycles, physical ailments, physical illnesses that we might be going through, and that might add a little bit of an additional layer to this question. Because if you are going through a cycle of health challenges and how you navigate that, and I think that might be a little bit of a layer to this question. Um, and that, where does this, if that statement, and how that statement was said, where does that play into this? And having been somebody that has been through pretty significant health challenges, a cycle of that. Thank goodness, I've, mostly healed from that, or have healed from that, I guess I should say now at this point, which is exciting. Uh, there is a bit of responsibility within ourselves to have to move through that, right? Outside of the Reiki energy, and I'll get into that aspect and how that might fit into this picture. And I remember at the time just the fight that I had to call up within myself in order to continue making the phone calls, continuing to try to find solutions. So many of us have been through this, and it's a part of what calls us to Reiki, that we're trying to find solutions to help us to heal. And Reiki can be a part of that solution. And so that's why we end up in Reiki in the first place, is that it's like, okay, what is one more thing that I can try to do that can help me to heal my body, and heal myself? And so, I do think that, and there's also this perspective out there that our bodies are fully capable of healing themselves. And that, if we have that perspective of our mind, that our mind is kind of also fully capable of healing ourselves. And I'm not getting into, the right or wrong of that perspective. I'm just saying that there is that perspective as well. And you'll hear that, when you're in these spiritual or metaphysical circles. And so there's that part of it as well. And many people believe that. And they do that as well, chicken or the egg, as far as belief comes in, right? And so they do heal themselves as well. Where I have found that Reiki is super helpful with that is helping me to continue to move through the solutions that I need from external sources. And it's interesting because we actually have a question in here about some medical aspects as well. And where I found that Reiki helped me, and I've talked about this, is that it helped solutions come in for me. It was like, Reiki, bring in helpful people. And I used that intention specifically. I did my feng shui, helpful people that can help me to heal from the health issues that I'm having. And they did come in, and the way that it all lined out, um, helped me to find the people that I needed to heal from the health issues that I was having. And then from a mental and emotional and spiritual perspective, Reiki, every time I would have a Reiki session, I would feel that, like, kind of invigoration come back, that inspiration, that fire that needed to come in to help me. Because when you're in that process of navigating it, of the amount of phone calls, of trying one solution, maybe it doesn't work out, so you try another solution, you have all of these different things that you're just constantly in this place of, and you're exhausted, you don't feel well, you have all of these things that are going on. The Reiki energy does fill you up with that vitality so that you can have that energy to continue with that. And to me, there is a level of how the Reiki is supporting you with that in that healing process. To me, that is a part of that healing process. Also, when you're in those places, you can really be going through like a very dark night of the soul. And you might even be questioning mortality. You might be having those kinds of thoughts. You might be having, having to look of like, I know I asked the question, like, am I dying? Right? What is this that is happening that they just haven't found yet, as I'm continuing to do all of these tests? And so you do have to have this aspect of facing that. And that also is very challenging aspect of this. And that is another place, that Reiki can really help you to navigate, because it is also spiritually guided life force energy. So you have the life force energy that comes in to help you with that vitality. And then you have the life force or the spiritually guided aspect that helps you to navigate that aspect of it. How do I trust this path right now when I am in a really challenging path? Like, really, is this like I have to trust this process right now? I have to question what I'm thinking about, my own belief systems. I have to question my external resources. I have to look into all of those different things. And because Reiki is a spiritually guided form of energy and can connect us, as Colleen, you were just even saying, to your divine self, to the divine, to consciousness, to love, to God, however you perceive that belief system within yourself, it also helps you to navigate those spaces as well. And so as far as like that responsibility aspect, I don't know how all of that plays into that specific word or that question, but what I do know is that some of those things, where that can relieve that responsibility for just ourselves is because the Reiki energy helps us to do that. It is an external factor that can come in and again help us to do that. And we have those intentions, we have those questions. Sometimes we direct the Reiki energy through intention, and then other times we don't. It just comes in and helps us to do that on its own without us having to be in that face of responsibility to do it for ourselves from our own life force energy. And it flows through us. It's this external aspect, it's this external aid that helps us through all of those different parts of when we are navigating life, this space, and especially when we're in really challenging cycles, and whether that's health, whether that's grief, whether that's loss, whether that's all of those different things that as people we that we face, that we experience. And Danny said in the chat that it promotes perseverance. Absolutely. And resilience. Absolutely.
You know what you just said at the end that I think kind of summarizes it, as that's why we get to have these kinds of conversations, is to go into all the details of it. But when you said the difference is you're not using your own life force energy for it all. And that because when we invite Reiki, it gives us that source of external source of life force energy to navigate through it all. And it's not all your own output. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree to this comment. There's a lot of pressure to buck up or heal thyself, with societal pressures about abandon, and even within the metaphysical community. And so that is, again, where it comes in. Ask Reiki to show me self-love, and admit to myself that this illness wasn't my fault. Yep. Turn to the helpers that love me unconditionally, and that made all the difference. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is very it's that external thing. So it doesn't have to just be all here, It's like, okay, I can turn to something to help.
I think that's another big piece that just has come in, again, focusing in is the idea that we have to always maintain what we think of as a high vibration as spiritual beings, as spiritual people, and how that's added another layer of pressure. I think that that's a really important point. And, it's something that I've just thought for a very long time, or what I learned about it for myself, because that's what I thought too, was that, okay, now when I'm spiritual, I'm going to be all Zen all the time. I'm going to be in high vibration all the time. My mind is going to always be in that, perfect state of inner awareness, and all those expectations that I actually had to heal within myself in order to truly embrace my human consciousness, that to accept who I am as I am. And number one, it's enough, but also I came here for this experience. My soul, our souls are on these long journeys of experience, and this is one of them. And I came here to live this life. And I don't know how to explain the mystery of it all, and all the dualities and all the oppositions and the different things that people experience. I don't know if anybody has really answers for it all. We have ways that we can wrap our mind around it, but what I learned is that I'm gonna have times where I'm angry. I will have times where I'm worried. I'll have times where I'm anxious. I'll have times. I had one thing I won't even admit out loud. I've had a few things in my life I can't admit out loud, um, to behaviors of me being human, and kind of like shocking me into, oh, there's that human piece right there that was kind of deep down, and okay, that's part of me too. And mostly my preference is to be in a calm, stable, peaceful mind, innovative, thinking about the things I want to think about. So mostly I do things I do because I like that state of being better. But, same thing. I've had years of chronic illness that, you're going through everything, you're navigating through that. I've had, all the same, maybe not all the same hardships of a lot of people, but anyway, that expectation of being spiritually perfect, it's like just another one of the expectations.
Yeah.
I I use Reiki to heal it in me all the time, because it's not real. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. I also wanted to just read this comment. To someone who's now trudging through side effects of a life-saving treatment, dying is actually given. It's this never-ending suffering that is the cross to bear. I don't want any more resilience. I want relief. And I just really appreciate that comment so much, because the resilience is one of the things we talked about. But sometimes the benefit of Reiki is hopefully just getting a nap, feeling better for an hour. And so, yeah, thank you. Thank you for that perspective. I think it's also really important. And I think too, Colleen, it ties into what you were saying about that perfection, like, yeah, I agree. We're not ascended masters yet. And Joe put in there, even Jesus lost it in the gospel narratives.
Ah,
I'm not enlightened yet.
yeah, yeah. And so I think the whole thing is to like even let go of that. Like
Yeah.
it's and like let's all do it together.
Yeah. Well, and we said this around Christmas time because it was a post around the holidays, and Ram Dass had put on his or not him obviously, but whoever runs that account had put on his account, if you think you're enlightened, spend a week with your family. you know he was a pretty all right, if he's having that, then or he had that, then he had said that in one of his lectures, then we can take a little pressure off of, off of ourselves.
Yeah. Well, and and I'll go ahead and just finish up with this if we're ready to move on, but because we're talking about in our distance Reiki share, we've been talking about manifesting your dreams, and we've been going through different areas of life to identify and look at, and what dreams that you might want to manifest, like in your personal life, your spiritual life, your physical health, your relationships, business, finance, job, things like that. And so we've been doing a whole month of that. And next week, to me, it was like, okay, let's put it all together. And so I've been listening around, well, what is it? Like what is the energy that helps us manifest? And it took me to attraction. And also, Jan Inglesmith in our last podcast was really talking about the earth being the planet of attraction. Everything, like the earth attracts. It's the nature of the energy here. So again, it's another thing we've talked about a lot in bits and pieces. And that was one of the things that I saw and thought about, is we've put so much pressure on ourselves that in order to be in the state of attraction to what we want in life, we have to be in this perfectly state of high vibration so that we can attract through that high vibration. And one of the perspectives that I saw was, we're already enough. And it tied into the awareness of, again, our human consciousness has duality. We live on the planet of duality. Higher and lower frequencies exist and everything in between. And and I've talked about this many times, but one of the big spiritual lessons I learned was in a vision quest. And it was a really, really hard one. It was 4 days in the desert. It was over 100 degrees every day. It was really hot, and I'm out by myself, and I was really, really struggling. Like really hating it. Thinking, I just can't believe I'm doing this. And, I'm doing it to myself. But what I learned from it was that internally, I was in a state of joy. Externally, I was in a state of grief. My father had just passed away, and I had other things going on in our family life, with Robin in high school and some of the stuff she was going through. And I really realized in that moment that I could have those feelings that I was experiencing, the emotions I was experiencing, and still have that state of being of joy inside. That was an inner truth. This was a feeling, and that I could go deeper. And so that's what I think is, where I feel like I really want to investigate within myself a deeper understanding of that awareness, that allowing the duality of our human nature to be our human nature, and that doesn't separate us from the truth of our inner state of being. So anyway, as you can tell, those are the things coming through, and I love listening to those subjects. And that's when we talk about insight, like Ask Reiki to bring insight. Those will be things that I can be thinking about voicing right now, and tomorrow driving somewhere or doing dishes or being busy somewhere else or in the shower or whatever, the insight pops in and it goes, oh, that's what that is. So anyway.
Okay. Well, next question is, I am being gaslighted by a healthcare professional. I need a refresher and using Reiki to support my inner truth and ability to communicate my reality without becoming angry or hostile. And it's not funny because I'm only chuckling because I mean, like hands raised on how many people have experienced it. Yeah, the few people that are on camera, like everybody. So first I want to say the caveat of support Western medicine. So Reiki is also an integrative modality. I also have uh, holistic practitioners that have really helped me through my chronic health issues. I was also um, called to probably a common Reiki friend with quite a few people here. But I don't know if I would have their permission to share their name on the podcast, but wore a shirt to her doctor. Let me guess, my labs are normal. I should lose weight. I need to drink water. I might have anxiety. I added in the comments. He's like, check,
Seriously.
check, check. I added in the comments, it might just be stress. Oh, it's so rough right now with this, and definitely experience it almost every single time at the doctor's when I have something happening. And uh yeah, it's a tough one because you don't want to be too harsh about it, but at the same time, it's rough out there. I had a client not too long ago that like had a great experience at the doctor, and they're like, she didn't gaslight me, and like, it was like, follow that person anywhere they go if they leave that clinic.
Who is it and can we go too?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It was actually a specialist, and so I'm like, just find out if they can be your general practitioner. Anyway, the more of the question is that, first of all, I'm really sorry that you're going through that. It is not easy. It is so stressful when that happens. And um, I don't know what to say about the current state. I know that everybody is stressed around medical care and including the practitioners, and I try to have compassion for that. But also at the same time, it is very, very challenging because that you're being gaslit. So a few um, Reiki tools that you can use is, first of all, sending Reiki ahead of time to your appointment. So that is something that can be really helpful. Also, to fill the space that you're in with Reiki. So using Reiki trails for that can be super helpful. Just even sitting there with Reiki activated within you and filling the office that you're in with Reiki. So that's another tool that you can find that can be really helpful for you. Sending Reiki back to yourself also, even if you've sent it ahead, sending Reiki back to yourself can be very helpful also. And then again, asking for Reiki to come in with solutions. Sometimes those solutions can look a little different than what you expected. Sometimes it can be the solution of maybe changing practitioners. Um, Maybe it can be the solution of a holistic option. That's not always an option depending on what it is that you're going through. um, of course we know that Western medicine definitely can, it's life-saving, right? So it's not always an option depending on what you're going through. Is there another option with it? I know family member recently found a different oncologist that was a lot more of a match for them. And so that can be super helpful. Maybe it's just finding a different person within the same system, if that's possible, even if it's a virtual option. So solutions can come in that can be very unexpected. Reiki can help you to follow those different trails of it. Also any throat chakra work, like, because the very specific question was about helping to use your voice in ways that you're heard, and also that because it's so frustrating, it's so infuriating, that it can be really challenging because you're just not heard over and over and over again. Oh, it's just stress. Let's do a different lab. Everything comes back normal. Um, and so that can be really frustrating aspect, but also working with your throat chakra and giving Reiki to your throat chakra so that things are clearly communicated, and that you can also keep that stress level, as much as possible low. And also that just for today, do not anger type idea, that Reiki ideal can come in and also help to support you as well. That's another piece. I mean, I'm just thinking recently calling the one where the person is like, something is wrong, and they're like, nope, I'm just gonna stop doing labs. Like, you're on your own. To you.
Me.
Yeah.
That was me.
Yeah, I know. I was like,
Like, well, your body will take care of it. And it actually ended up true. Um, but yeah, I think
kind of. You also
kind
had
of.
support from a lot of from other practitioners.
And I had support in other ways. Well, and the one with my ears, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing that can happen, because that lasted over
I
2
mean, we can just go on with
and
stories.
go on
So
and on with
many.
everybody.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing that is always, like how do you use Reiki? Because the the financial impact and the time impact of that is also in the mix of the extreme challenge because typically it's at a time when it's you don't feel good, and so extra time that it all takes, and then the extra money to do kind of things that are not within your insurance and things like that, and if you have insurance, it's so complicated. And I do want to support our healthcare workers too, because I feel like most of them, like I know the doctor I was just speaking of, I went to him before things got so stressful in his situation, and he was great. And then, man, I think whatever happened in his, being in his circumstance from his end, he's equally like, if we were to
Stress.
have this discussion
Yeah.
with him, I think he would equally say, it's so rough out here
Yeah. I agree.
as the healthcare professional too. So that is part of it, because you also, and then you do have some of them like, I don't even want to go into that one.
No.
I'm still mad at him. I have to work. He's one of the few people I actually have to work at not thinking his name and just like, ugh, going into the rabbit hole. I have to stop myself from going in the rabbit hole. And that was back in 2020. So it was almost 5 years ago. Speaking of being human, being emotions, it's like, oh, just I would just tell him off. I tried at the time, it didn't work. I got even worse gaslit. It's like, you're gaslighting me. No, I'm not. Then he yelled at me for yelling at him. It made it worse. But anyway,
Yeah. It's
just
it's
lots of support from
yeah.
community is truly one thing. Oh, I know what I wanted to add to it too. As I was saying, the time and the money that comes with it. I want to add to it with Reiki. Sometimes you feel like I just can't even do Reiki. I don't have it in me. Reiki works by just saying, yes, Reiki on. Let it come in at the capacity you have in the moment. If you allow yourself to, and then also I tell it all the time. I invite you even when I forget to ask, like, please be present. But that Reiki on the fly at times like this is really important to remember. you don't have to do Reiki. You can just invite it. And, you love to do it like, and I'll do self Reiki while I'm watching TV. I'll do it while I'm talking to people. I do self Reiki in any circumstance I want without worrying about if I'm doing it properly, the hand positions, symbols, all those things. I'll just literally put my hands on my body and, like, okay, Reiki on. If you're in groups of people or you're sitting in a waiting room, any of those things, you can do it just by saying, okay, Reiki on, and let it work for you in the way that you need it in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, and lots of just compassion because again, it's so challenging to navigate with it and takes a lot of patience and a lot of, you know, following up and all of those things. And people, of course, are putting into the chat that it's, similar challenges and also finding a lot of care within some of the either functional medicine or naturopaths and the holistic modalities as well. And so again, you kind of already talked about all of that, Colleen, but also I also agree there's that listening aspect that is a really big part of that too. That's super helpful. So yeah,
And also,
it's a
come to community things like this where, you have support and you can tap into this community energy even if you're not here.
yeah.
And even if it's not happening, you're not tapping into it right when we're doing it. This energy is an existent energy, and those distance Reiki shares that we do and all this community stuff that we do is to build this energy that is then available to all of us at any time. So tap into that. And again, you can just invite it.
Yeah. Yep, agreed. And yeah, so anyway, lots of love to you. It's challenging. And like you said, Colleen, it's just a challenging place with everything, but then in the medical care, and it's challenging for people who work in that, and lots of love to those people because there's a lot of people that have Reiki that are nurses and doctors and are working in those fields as well. And it's challenging for them too. You hear them talk about it. And
It's a whole system is challenging. And I think globally, even, of course, we're in the US, so we have our challenges here, understatement. Um, but anyway, we have some challenges going on and with the healthcare, but I do hear about it in other countries too,
yeah.
so and also the other thing is there are so many advancements in healthcare that, we do a lot of times we really do find the solutions, and so we keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody put in the chat they're an MD and it's very conflicting most of the time. And yeah,
Yeah.
lots of compassion to you and stuff. It's challenging.
hmm Well, especially after the pandemic, during and after the pandemic, it seemed like it really escalated the difficulty in for the healthcare providers, and then also for all of us too, just all of us trying to navigate through it.
Okay. And then another question is just wondering how people are integrating Reiki into other modalities. That people have studied. And Colleen, I know you can and do talk about shamanism and how you're integrating Reiki with shamanism.
Well, the first thing is that Reiki will complement and integrate with other modalities. Not all other modalities invite integration of additional modalities into them, whether it's Reiki or any other type of a tradition. So the first thing to understand is whether or not the practices that you are doing really invite Reiki energy to be a part of it. the teachers that you're working with, the traditions that you're working with. In my shamanic training, it was in my particular training and teacher with Light Song and Jan Inglesmith. She actually wanted me to focus on Reiki, bring it into our shamanic training, knowing that it would enhance our abilities and our capacity in our shamanic work. But then I also studied with other shamanic teachers who actually would ask us not to bring any additional modalities in, including Reiki. There were also other shamanic systems, like some of the pretty big ones, that actually disagreed with the energy of Reiki. So it depends on which schools you're working with. And then also, shamanism is a really big term. All shamanic practices are not the same. They are practiced differently by culture, by indigenous people, by location. So there's so many global shamanic practices that is a very general term. So, for instance, in a lot of my work and training was in Lakota Sioux. The particular family that I was involved with and doing ceremony with really supported Reiki also. In fact, one of their highest ceremonies, a Sundance ceremony, I was asked by one of the elders to give him an attunement during the Sundance ceremony, which was such an honor. I mean, it was so beautiful and so special, and really, I mean, he came to me asking me about it. And then you would have other families who would say absolutely not, that would not be appropriate. So it's important to respect the tradition that you're in. So when I am in ceremonies where they ask us not to invite it, I do invite it for me to take care of me. Like, I always take care of my own energy, no matter who I'm with, whether it's, like a really trusted colleague or teacher. I still, in any ceremony, create my own Reiki. I do my Reiki preparations, like I activate the energy, I call in my guides, and I surround myself, but I'm not actually including it in the ceremony for the ceremony. So I have pretty distinctive, awareness of what I'm actually asking from Reiki. Then other modalities that do integrate it, I think the main way to understand how it integrates is to ask the energy itself to show you. So when you are in those practices, to actually activate Reiki and specifically say, show me how you are integrating with this modality. Show me the techniques that you are teaching me to use this energy with this modality. If you are already working with someone like myself in our next step classes, and really all the things you guys see, even in the distance Reiki share, there's no way for us to separate out our shamanic knowledge from our Reiki knowledge, and the techniques and traditions are always integrated. It's always a part of it. But if it's something that is brand new for you, really inviting the Reiki energy to show you how that works is, to me, the most effective way. If you have specific teachers like us, that's what we're doing in the training that we have when we do our Reiki journeys, which are all on our YouTube channel, by the way, if anybody doesn't know that. Those are on our podcast channels, that we do those Reiki journeys around specific topics and meet with spirit guides and connect in, and we use specific techniques to do that. let's say you were working with sound bowls, for instance. That's a really, like lots of people are really working with it now. So imbuing those sound bowls with Reiki energy, asking Reiki energy to flow with the sound, because sound bowls can actually be a delivery method for Reiki. The same thing would be true, let's say you were using a drum and a tool as a tool, and it's part of your shamanic practices. You can imbue that drum with Reiki energy and set intention with it. Robin and I wrote an article on our website called Imbue Your Sacred Objects with Reiki. So that's an idea of how we did that. Other modalities, some of them you have to pay attention to. So let's say you're a therapist, you have to pay attention to your licensing and how you would use Reiki energy in that setting, because you have licensing that has specifics around rules. Like, if you were going to use Reiki as a therapist, but you have really serious touch regulations, how are you going to practice it without touch? Lots of ways to do that. Activating it in the space, creating a Reiki zone, Reiki with your eyes, Reiki with your breath, Reiki with intention, lots of different ways that you can do that. So it's really such a vast subject that ultimately ask for guidance from Reiki and then try what it does. And if it works, keep doing it. If it doesn't work, then go to a different technique. It will always integrate. Reiki will complement other modalities. You just have to make sure that you're honoring that modality if you are integrating Reiki with it. In my case, it's pretty tough to separate me from any kind of Reiki energy, but I do, if I'm in a tradition where it's like, yeah, don't bring that in, I don't activate it bigger and include it in it. I honor the tradition that I'm in, except for I do use it for myself.
There's, so many people integrate it in so many different ways. And
Mhm.
Colleen mentioned sound healing. A few people here, do it in all sorts of ways. You can do it with astrology. That's another thing that we know multiple people that use Reiki within astrology. You can use it in, I was thinking, like Barb Pasty, who integrates it with Shake Your Soul, which is like a dancing modality, yoga, people do it with yoga. And so, yeah, there's like, it's kind of endless. Acupuncture, feng shui, all the different things. I'm like, thinking about the guests that we have on, I see Danny on the podcast, and how people integrate it with so many different things that, that it can be super helpful in a lot of different modalities. Go ahead, Danny.
I was just going to add to that. I worked in a wellness center, and so the masseuse and I would do sessions where she would do, it'd be 30 minutes of massage and 30 minutes of Reiki, and people loved that. It was really cool. And then Teresa, who's here, Teresa Bulch, her and I, we volunteered Reiki during Nurse Appreciation Week one time here in Eugene. And we had, I don't know, I think we saw like 40 nurses. Anyway, she did reflexology as I was doing Reiki. And that was really cool too. So yeah, just knowing what fits and not pushing it too much. But yeah, there's so many fun things to think about. Hairdressers, I mean, there's just so much.
Yeah, hairdressers, that's a good one. Somebody else, or Kim Cumbo said, I use it with my oracle card readings, crystal work, soul collage, coaching, all accept the energy of Reiki. Yeah, working out to workplace relationships, that's another thing. You have very practical things in life. Yeah, at your workplace, it's a good call with that one, Ausha. And yeah, working out, agreed. So yeah, it's just so many different, it's so multifaceted. Reiki journeys and astrology. These are things people are putting in the chat. So love it. It's always fun to see how people are doing it and what people are doing with it. Like, oh, the possibilities and the ideas. So I just wanted to read this really quick. A practitioner told me he uses his hands to shape the energy around me. I watched as he used his hands to manipulate the air, sort of like a sculptor uses clay. I enjoyed it. Yeah, you see that a lot in Reiki sessions that people are, kind of doing different things with the energy and how they work with it. And so that's just as practitioners, that's all of our own, whether it's trainings or teachings or how the Reiki energy manifests for us and how that looks for each of us. But yeah, you definitely can see that in different sessions as well and with different practitioners too. So okay, well, I think that we are at a pretty good stopping point. That's kind of all of the questions that I think we have. And so I think what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and say thank you to everybody that has joined us live. These have been great conversations. For those of you that are listening later, thank you, of course, as always, for listening. We're always so grateful for all of you. And, of course, this all wouldn't exist without the listeners. So we appreciate you too. And then Colleen or Danny, is there anything else that you wanted to say? All right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead then and stop the recording. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you, everyone.